Joining me now with his take is Oklahoma Senator and Senate Homeland Security Committee member James Lankford. Senator, welcome to the show. Always great to see you. Can we talk about TikTok? Because this is something that President Trump was moving forward with. He wanted to ban it. He felt that it was a national security threat to the United States. And now we continue to have these conversations, and that sentiment is being revised. Tell us.
So here's the big question. Do we want the Chinese Communist Party to be able to have access to every single teenager, to individuals, to young people that are using TikTok, to any age using TikTok? This would be the equivalent of saying, do we want them to be able to own a hospital where they could get access to every single medical record for individuals? Do we want them to be able to have access to all kinds of personal information that people would actually share on a TikTok platform? If we know the Communist Chinese government gets access to all this information, why would we give them access to personal information for all of our citizens?
Senator Lankford, it's very popular here in the United States, with the Gen Z community, but with many others as well that have bought the line from ByteDance that nope, and no pun intended, we have a Chinese wall. The information in the United States does not come back to China. However, there's evidence that that's not necessarily the case.
So if you are a Chinese company, you're connected with a Chinese company, the rule in China, the law in China is they've got to have access to all of your records. Welcome to a communist nation. We lose track at times. If it goes through China, it's going through the Chinese Communist Party. They're going to have access to whatever they ask access for. So ByteDance can say, we're totally separate. We just happen to run it through some servers in China, but we're unconnected on that. That's just hard to be able to believe.
Okay. I want to switch gears for a moment because a story obviously we've been covering on this channel, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried arrested. And there's a lot of questions, concern over the donations. Obviously, he's charged with one of the charges is that he misused customer funds. Some of those customer funds were used to make campaign donations to Democrats and Republicans, but more Democrats and in larger sums. Your thoughts on what's happening right now with respect to the charges against him and how this is going to play out if and when he comes back to the United States?
Well, obviously, he should face the charge and he should face the music for his actions. He made decisions to be able to use the funds from one part and to be able to use it for other purposes, and then to be able to apparently use that for his personal uses, for his condominiums, for his vacations, and then also to do political donations as well. I think anyone who had any connection with him in any way with his company should look at those political donations and return them. We understand that President Biden in the donations actually came in his campaign. Number one was George Soros, and number two was this entity. And so if we're going to talk about where it's going to go, let's talk about where those dollars went, what they were designed to be able to influence, and to be able to make sure those entities actually received them, send them back.
Yeah. You also just got briefed, your office, from DHS regarding the termination of Title 42. So I want to get your take on the latest.
Yeah, Title 42 is always going to be temporary. It's a pandemic issue on trying to be able to block out individuals coming across the border. Trump used it exceptionally effectively to be able to stop illegal immigration across the border. President Biden stepped in and slowly started turning it off. And now a court has said you've got to turn it off entirely on the 21st of December. This administration has known for a year and a half at least that it was going away. And they've said, we've got a plan, we've got a plan, we've got a plan. Now it's the week before. We just did a briefing with them today. They have no plan. They have no idea what they're going to do. They're trying to figure out now what happens. There's literally tens of thousands of people lining up on the southern border waiting for the morning of the 21st of December so they can start coming across in massive numbers. And this administration is gearing up what they're calling better processing centers so they can move people across faster and into the country rather than having a plan to be able to turn around. The Biden administration's plan always has been, and we've seen it clearly, to increase illegal immigration into the country. There's no way you have 2.5 million people illegally across the country and not say that wasn't their plan, was to increase illegal immigration. Now we're seeing that even more with the very predictable Title 42 ending and them saying, oops, we had no real strategy to be able to stop this.
Real quick before I let you go, Senator, can we talk about the vaccine mandate in the military? Our troops are not getting the answers that they were looking for with respect to religious accommodations or some of the requests that they made to not have to be held to the mandate. And you are fighting for them.
Yeah, there's lots of people who have been fighting in the Senate specifically on this issue of the vaccine mandate for our troops. Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Marsha Blackburn, myself, multiple others. I've focused on the religious liberty issue on this. There's an accommodation issue that you should be able to ask for, a normal process in the military that they know how to be able to do through their chaplains. They've ignored that. Chaplains have made recommendations to commanders, and commanders just not given them an answer. They've just let it sit out there. And so we've been fighting for a year and a half to get an answer to these individuals, ask for an accommodation. Now this is going to pass the National Defense Authorization saying you can't require this vaccine mandate for individuals. I'm going back to the military again and say, what are you going to do to those folks that have asked for an accommodation? You need to just wave it through based on this new statute, National Defense Authorization. But so far, they've not answered that question yet.
Senator Lankford, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Great to see you.
You bet. Good to see you again as well. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.